Hello, tacticians! The new machine of war, the Exorcist, is now visible in the game, so I have no qualms about looking at it, because it is no longer a data mine spoiler, so let's have a go at it. There, so, a big, juicy machine. Looks like it's based on the Lance Raider. Any lore specialist will probably correct me or confirm my theory. I really like the aesthetic. Oh well. So, abilities. The primary one targets a friendly unit on the battlefield for X rounds. It deals plus percentage of damage with ranged attacks against enemies on fire hexes. Affected Sororitas deal that additional damage with all attacks, not just melee. The Exorcist then, after using the ability, deals flame damage to all enemies in the longest uninterrupted straight line originating from an enemy adjacent to the targeted friendly unit. I think this will work similarly to Azrael's active, except that it's not targeted at the enemy directly, but instead it will only trigger when there is an enemy adjacent to your targeted unit. There is no stated requirement that the targeted friendly unit needs to have an enemy adjacent to it, so this should be fine, I guess. And well, the possible uses for this: use number one in a Neurothrope team. I think this scales up to 20% damage, and the duration will be longer at higher development tiers, according to the spoiler I've seen. Yeah, Sumi, it should go all the way up to 5 rounds, so for a full duration of a raid. So if you manage to put this buff on the Neurothrope on turn 2, which is the earliest you can do it with the initial cooldown, the Neurothrope will be dealing plus 20% damage all the time, which is a massive buff. On high ground, currently my almost fully Ahriman buffed Neurothrope on the Yazagor active turn can deal around 140,000 damage without a 20% buff from Rosvitha or Zibia. So this should be something like 24k extra damage on that turn, so something like 164,000 damage when everything goes according to plan. Although it will be slightly difficult to achieve because at least in my favorite fight against the Mortarion with the Neurothrope team, you generally do want the spores to position Morty safely on low ground while keeping the rest of your Psykers alive. But hey, it's gonna be challenging, and the combined effect should be, I don't know, somewhere around 60,000 damage, I'd say. Also, as an added bonus, in some circumstances, this will let you to set the boss on fire before even using Ahriman's attack, so even Ahriman will get the thing going, so that's a good thing. Other than that, it only works basically on ranged attacks, so I can see it working in a multi-hit team with, say, Mogan Ra, Thaddeus, maybe Vindicta, maybe, for Mogan Ra and for the Vindicta. Although you could also probably start using it for Morven if you had Morven in that team. Possibly, maybe. We shall see. And finally, obvious solution, bring it to Adepta Sororitas teams. This could work well against the Winged Prime with the flame damage from this and all the Sororitas flames from Roswitha and Vindicta, and presumably maybe in PvP too. Okay, moving on. The Exorcist's passive or secondary ability marks a hex on the battlefield and 3 additional hexes adjacent to it but not to each other. So that means we get a radioactivity sign pattern pretty much in one way or the other, I guess. And at the beginning of of its next turn, it deals blast damage to all enemies on marked hexes. So they have a chance to avoid this. Each enemy unit has a 25%, probably increasing as the rarity or development level of this ability goes up, to increase the crit chance or crit damage of friendly units with Act of Fate, as if a friendly Imperial unit had killed an enemy unit. So if you manage to hit a big cluster of enemies, you can get some extra stacks of Act of Faith. With how this doesn't stun or suppress, it probably is only really useful with the Sororitas or maybe as area denial in PvP. In PvE, the AI will probably run out of this. Then again, a boss that won't want to move will still not want to move, so maybe it will be possible to deal some damage to bosses with this as well for free without using munitions. And the preferred boss for this would obviously be the Winged Prime again, because blast damage. Although you probably want to be using Tsonji for that instead, because the Winged Prime is one slick prick and likes to move around a lot, and as such will probably avoid the blast. Now, the ability does mention dealing damage to all enemies on marked hexes, which implies that it will not fire on allies that are standing on the marked hexes, but that still remains to be seen. And that's pretty much it, really. So my conclusion on the Exorcist, if you can make it work in a Neurothrope raid team, it's gonna be awesome. It will work presumably in faction warfare in the mode that nobody really should care about. With Sororitas, I mean, with a full faction Sororitas team. But other than that, this doesn't really seem nearly as game-breaking as the Forge Fiend or as the BioWar are. Which, if you ask me, is how the Machines of War should be. They should be a nice utility and not a game-breaking thing. Whatever the case, we should be getting the Exorcist Incursion soon, so that's finally going to be some new content, and I'm looking forward to that. You can expect videos from me on it again, although I'm not sure how far I will be able to go or about the highest tier of the Incursion I will be able to play, because I don't know which faction will be playing, or which factions will be playing against the Sororitas. and whether I am ready to go all the way to tier 14. So yeah, congratulations, you made it to the end of this video, and I will see you eventually. Yes, I have been slacking, taking a bit of a holiday, going through wallowing in depression. You know, some days are better, some days are worse. I've been having a lot of the worse ones recently. Anyway, don't let that spoil your mood. Have a good one, tactician.
If you enjoyed this video, like it, share it, subscribe to the channel, and watch the video again.